Well, hello and welcome to the studio. Thank you so much for popping in. If you're new here, I'm Jane from Snapdragon Life, and this is Teasel. So today I want to talk about something really exciting that I am doing and to tell you the story of why I'm doing it. So tomorrow, as I'm filming this, I am going to Italy, solo traveling, and I'm going to be living for a month in Naples, working. I'm basically going to be a middle-aged digital nomad. I don't speak any Italian. I don't know anybody in Naples. This is very kind of out of character for me. I'm known for being really quite hermit-like, staying in my studio. And I thought it would be interesting to just come on and explain the backstory and to give you some free tools if you're wanting to explore anything that is kind of similar. So this all starts in January 2023. I bought my mum tickets to ABBA Voyage for her Christmas, and I took her down on the train. And as we were, going down the train, she was doing her puzzle magazine thing, I was knitting. She said, Jane, this is the first time that I have been away without your dad since you and I went to Paris. Now, my mum and I went to Paris in 1989 for a weekend. And my first thought was, that is just ridiculous. How can that have happened? And then my second thought was, Jane, are you really any different? Because realistically, Ewan, I'm married to, and I have been together since I was 18. And we have been on every holiday together. And we went straight from university into jobs. He's a doctor, so he finished his medical training, went straight into hospital jobs. I finished my museum training, and there's such a feeling that you won't get a job when you come out of museum training, or certainly there was at that time, that I spent my whole time doing voluntary work and internships until I got my job. I didn't let up at all. And all through my life, when I'm talking to friends about, the regrets of things, I've always said that I regret having had that kind of feeling of rush in my early 20s, so that I didn't ever take time, and specifically, I didn't go traveling. And I look at my daughters who've both spent lots of time abroad, and I think, I really wish that I had got my act together and done that. So my mum and I, we went to ABBA Voyage, and it was brilliant. Came back, and as soon as I got back, I thought, what I can do to explore this whole kind of regret thing is to take myself through a program which I have on my website called A Wilder Way. Now, this is a thing to help you really find out what it is that you want in your life, and then to very intentionally move towards that. It is a free course because once I put it together, I felt it was too important to not be sharing it widely. I felt that of all the things that I do, this is the most powerful if you do it, and therefore I should give that away and change people's lives. And so far I've taken well over 1,000 people through it. And it's an interesting one, because it's not something that always makes changes immediately, but frequently, a year or 18 months after somebody has been through the course, I'll get an email or a DM saying how all the things that they were moving towards when they did the course, that they had on their lists and that kind of thing, have actually happened. Now, that makes it sound like it's like a manifesting magical thinking course. I realize that, but it isn't. It is based through being very honest with yourself, being very intentional, and actually scheduling things in and putting yourself as a priority. So anyway, I will put the link to the course underneath here. It is 4 emails over 4 days, because I think that's the fastest that you should do it. You would need about half an hour per email. It isn't the kind of course that just by downloading it, you change your mind. You change your life, rather. It isn't just by signing up to it, things are going to change. That's not the right way it works. It is a course about making tiny, intentional, very specific changes. You can get it underneath here. Anyway, that's by the by. I came home and I thought, right, I will take myself through this course because this is an ideal thing for it. So I looked at the thing that I thought I had missed out on. And that is this idea of solo travel, adventure, being 22 and heading out. And I very, very carefully looked at what that meant to me, what very specific things of that quite big idea I was missing. So, it could be seeing new things, meeting new people, seeing more of the world, being educated. But when I really thought about it, I came up with 2 things that it was about. And one was about freedom from routine, and the other one was about self-reliance. Now, if anybody is watching this who, like me, has a chronic illness, that self-reliance is such a big thing in living with chronic illness, because that is what is taken away from you. And I am incredibly lucky. I have had an autoimmune disease for 20 years now, and my family and my friends are all expert in recognizing the signs when I begin to go a bit wobbly. My brain would go foggy, I get tired. And they are exceptional in making my life so much easier. But there's a wee voice in my head, I think you might just be lazy, Jane, voice in my head, that worries about that. So these are the 2 things. There is the freedom from routine and the self-reliance. Maybe I'm just opting out of life kind of question. So the third step in A Wilder Way is to come up with a great big long list of activities that tie into these 2 things. So I made a great big long list of things which would really free up the routines of my days. And if you are a studio clubber, you know that in April I radically changed the structure of the studio club. I believe it became much better, but it also freed up the way that my weeks worked. This turned out to be incredibly useful because over the summer my dad was very ill, and it meant that I could just work wherever I could, and that I was able to go and spend time with him in a way that would have been much more difficult a year before. And I also came up with lots of ways that made me more self-reliant, and somehow, after a few months, I decided that I was going to go solo traveling. I was going to become a middle-aged digital nomad. I was going to go and stay in Naples for a month, and I was going to work for them from there for most of the year, month, and then Ewan would come out after rugby, which he was going to see in Rome anyway, get the train down to Naples, meet him, and we'd spend the last time as a holiday. And we had spent 3 days there in 2023. I loved the city. I mean, I know nobody, and I don't speak Italian, but I just really, really loved Naples. We'd stayed in a beautiful apartment looking over the Bay of Naples. So you had Vesuvius over here, and you had Capri over here, and a little balcony. So I contacted people who owned that and said, could I come for a month off season? And we sorted all of that out, booked flights, and I started to plan how I could do the studio club from Naples in a way that kind of benefited from me being away. The being away is a wonderful thing. So what we are doing as kind of like the activity that takes us through the month is making a block of English Pieced Patchwork, which I'm basing on the floors, the beautiful marble floors that were at Pompeii and Herculaneum and are now restored in the Archaeological Museum in Naples. So I'll be able to go and sort of take us around there and have a look at the designs, and then how to think about that in terms of the patchwork, and then how you would make the patchwork. So that's what I'm doing. The rest of my job today is to sort out all of those bits of patchwork, or all those bits of fabric, and make sure that the patchwork designs are going to work, so that I don't end up in Naples going, I'll have no scissors, for example, unless I go and buy some for my fabric, because I'm traveling hand luggage only. And so we've got this whole kind of change. And then I have built on that over the last 6 months by setting intentions with the new moon. And that, again, is something that we do in the studio club. If you're just kind of curious, there is a YouTube video down here, which has the prompt sheets for free, because the way that I run the studio club, it's always been really, really important to me that not having cash for any reason doesn't stop people taking part. So we have a supported membership in the studio club as well, for anybody who cash is the only reason that they can't do it. But also these important kind of building blocks of changing your life, it's always been really important to me that they are freely available, particularly because they're digital. It's not like I'm having to make them from scratch. So there we are. I head off tomorrow, so that I will already be probably at the airport by the time you see this. And the next time I'm sharing a film, it will be from Naples. I might do a little apartment tour and show you my wonderful view, though I do gather that it is going to be pouring with rain all weekend when I arrive. So that will be a nice reminder of Scotland. So until next week, thank you for popping in. And if you've got any questions about anything in this video, just drop me a message or leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Bye-bye.